One of the best ways to protect your four-wheel drive is with regular maintenance and servicing. And today we're going to be replacing the oil and the filters within the transmission. So the first thing we need to do is jump under the car and drain out all the old transmission fluid from the gearbox. And you'll need at least a 6 to 10 litre drain container. And once it's empty, you can pop the drain bolt back into the pan and then undo the 20 bolts securing it to the transmission. So if sealant has been used in the past, you will need to use a screwdriver and a hammer to try and pry them apart. And with a few light taps, it come away nice and easy. Then we can remove the pan to access the filter. And don't forget to undo the bracket that's holding in the filler tube connected to the drain pan. And holding in the filter there is 2 bolts. But make sure that you keep your drain container handy, because once you remove the filter, some oil will still come out from the transmission. Now if sealant was used, you're going to need to remove it all before we reinstall it back to the car. So it was off to the parts cleaner, and this took nearly 2 hours to remove. So with a lot of elbow grease and using a plastic chisel and a Scotch-Brite pad, it come up pretty clean. And with the pan all nice and clean, we can now reinstall the 3 magnets. And if there's any sealant on the mating surface of the transmission, we want to remove that as well. And to put this transmission back together, I've got myself an automatic transmission filter kit, which inside there is going to be a new filter and a gasket. And to fit the transmission filter, we just need to push it into place and secure it with the 2 bolts. And the torque setting for these bolts is 6 Newton meters. Now the workshop manual does recommend using a sealant, but I'm going to go ahead and use the gasket instead. Just make sure to line it up properly so that we don't get any leaks. And with the gasket in place, we can now install the pan back to the bottom of the car. And the torque setting for the bolts is 11 Newton meters. Now with the pan back on, we can top it up with the transmission fluid, and by using a small funnel we can fill it up through the dipstick. Now to know how much fluid to put back in the car, well, you can measure what we took out through the drain pan, which in this case was just over 4 litres. But ideally what you want to do is get the engine up to temp and then check it on the dipstick. So now that we've topped it up with fluid, we can jump into the car and start the engine, and we just want to go through all the gears to make sure that it's nice and smooth. Then it's off for a test drive.
That's a good sign.
Pretty smooth and all, a little bit stiff in the part. Coming out of the part nice. So now that we've got some smooth shifts between all the gears, there was one last check under the car to make sure that we've got no leaks. So for a full range of products available for your four-wheel drive, check out westernfilters.net.au. So until next time, get out there and give it a go.